I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano, and the verdict is in on redefining the rescue. Here's the question. The Treasury Department was given rules by Congress on how to proceed with the $700 billion bailout. But now Secretary Paulson says he's scratching the pre-approved plan and taking matters into his own hands. What gives him that power? Here are the facts. When Secretary Paulson and President Bush came running to the Congress in mid-September, arguing that the sky would fall and the credit markets would freeze if the Secretary of the Treasury was not given a checking account with $700 billion in it, they persuaded the Congress that they would unfreeze credit markets and prevent that sky from falling by buying toxic paper and toxic hard assets from the banks. Republicans argued that these purchases from the Treasury would cleanse the balance sheets of banks and thus cleanse the system so that banks could once again loan money to each other. Democrats argued that by purchasing toxic hard assets, basically private homes that were in foreclosure, the government would be saving people from being kicked out of their houses. Free market forces from either party were weak and their views were stifled. However, it is clear that the premise of the bailout, which grew from $700 billion to $853 billion when Congress added Christmas tree ornaments to it, was that the credit crunch was caused by the collapse of the housing market, and the Treasury would purchase toxic housing paper and toxic housing assets, and then, like magic, credit would flow again. It is clear beyond dispute that this is what Congress intended when it gave Secretary Paulson more money and more freedom to spend it than the president has. His comments this week that he no longer intends to purchase toxic paper or to purchase toxic assets completely undermines the premise of the bailout, the alleged urgent and compelling reason for the bailout, and what most members of Congress stated at the time they believed they were voting for when they enacted the bailout. So the question is this: what gives Secretary Paulson the power completely to rewrite the rules? Here's my opinion. All efforts by the government to bail out private industry are unconstitutional. The reasons are profound. They're grounded in the Constitution. They are intended to keep the Treasury from becoming a public trough, but they are not taken seriously by decision makers in either party. This is also the reason that the Constitution never authorized this kind of bailout in the first place. It never authorized that this kind of power be placed in the hands of any one person or one entity, no matter how intelligent, no matter how noble, and no matter how well-intended that person or entity might be. The temptation to spend $700 billion of someone else's money without having to answer for it to anyone, or having to explain the manner in which it was spent, or to do so in a different manner than how he promised he would, proved simply too great a temptation for Secretary Paulson to resist. He can throw all the good money he wants after bad. He can buy all the stock he wants in all the solvent banks that don't need it and don't want government investments. He can bail out all the corporations whose executives made millions but lost billions. But he is exercising power never given to him by the Congress. The bailout should be rescinded. His checkbook should be taken away from him. And he should either be fired or resign in disgrace. If you want to hear more of my opinions on topics such as this, check out my book, A Nation of Sheep, available in bookstores nationwide. You can also tune into my nationally syndicated radio show, Brian and the Judge, every weekday from 9 a.m. to noon. And don't forget, you can always catch me right here on the Fox News channel throughout the day, every day. I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano, and that's my verdict.